Bonjour and hello, welcome back. This is Vriesea saundersii, okay? And this is, we're doing a plant profile episode on this today. So, Vriesea saundersii has been known by many names. Vriesea botifigensis, saundersii, as well as saundersii. Saundersii almost always persisting, and we'll tell you why, like who it was named after. Yeah, sometimes I don't feel good, you know, and then like when you don't feel good, like filming is just not a thing. It's not gonna work because I see my truth on the camera, and if I'm not authentically happy, then I don't know, I have difficulty doing that, you know. So now is back, is good, and glad to inform you I still love plants. So here we go. It's been a while, hasn't it? What do I want to say about nothing? Did I want to say anything else? No, let's just talk about the plant. Okay, cool. This is the single flower of Vriesea saundersii, and that is the entire inflorescence of Vriesea saundersii. Okay, the plant. Now, I have, in all honesty, refilmed this so many times because I'm so rusty and I keep going back on myself, so I'm literally so fed up. I'm gonna do this for the last time. I am taking this information straight from my head because I did an article for my local Bromeliad Society meeting not too long ago. But yeah, call me a perfectionist, I don't know. Anyways, here we go. So Vriesea saundersii, let's tell you about it. It was first published by a guy called Charles Jacques Edward Morin, right, in around 1875. The plant has actually had quite a few different names over the years. It's had the name Inflorescence saundersii. It's also had the name Pheww saundersii, as well as Vriesea botifigensis, which then they finally settled on Vriesea saundersii. Interestingly, this plant, well, okay, let's just Vriesea, all Vrieseas. Why they have that name? It was named after a guy called Willem Hendrik de Vries. Okay, he was a Dutch guy, and so they named it in honor of him. So everything that is a Vriesea is thanks to this Dutch guy, Willem Hendrik de Vries. As far as Charles Jacques Morin goes, he was the authority. He was a Belgian botanist. His father was a Belgian botanist, and he loved bromeliads. So he's actually done quite a bit of work on bromeliads, for which I am really grateful. And I mention this because these guys, like, they had monocles. We've got microscopes. Do you know what you feel me? Yeah? Okay, so I think that, you know, we owe them a little gratitude for all the hard work that they did, irrespective of whether they love plants or, you know, whatever their reason was. Nevertheless, the name Saunders, or saundersii, that comes from a guy called William Saunders. I don't know who he was, but he must have been pretty special for them to name the plant after him. It is a species plant. It's native to the Tijuca forests of the state of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, where it grows in mesic forests as either an epiphyte or as a lithophyte. So that's either on trees or on rocks. Now, to me, this is my plant. Let me just back up so you can actually have a full view of the entire plant, right? This was grown 7 years ago from seed. So I germinated this along with many of its siblings, which are now, they've all found new homes. This is the second last one that I've left, and this one is now going to set seed from which I will germinate all of the progeny will come from this plant, a new Grex. Now, excuse me, this plant is strange as freesias go. For me, the red spots that you see on the underside reminds me of Vriesea fenestralis, but then it's missing the fenestrations of fenestralis, and that to me, of any, like, compared to all the other freesias, it doesn't have those fenestrations, and I find that very strange. So it's more, I can kind of see why they put it in the genus Tillandsia a while back, because to me it kind of looks more like a Tillandsia. It is tank bearing, so it does hold water. You can see the water down in the urn over there, and it can also tolerate quite a bit of sunlight compared to a regular freesia, where, yeah, sure, freesias can handle high light in general. This one can handle quite a bit more, I find. And so for that reason, I don't know, I find it a very unique freesia. The mottling that you see on the underside, they refer to it as a sickly red mottling, which I tend to disagree with. I think this is actually what makes the plant so stately, because it's got this really beautiful, weird red color on the underside. Kind of looks as though the plant could be diseased, so maybe, yeah, I kind of see it, but I think it's a bit unfair. Sickly red mottling, I don't know if that's such a compliment. Anyways, the red mottling appears mainly on the underside of the leaves, but also on the upper surface, and also when it's on the upper surface, it's mainly actually on the inside, so you can see it kind of disappears halfway up the leaf. And if you're in South Africa, that is load shedding. So there goes my pond pump, so the water's just stopped. That's crazy. I hate this. Anyways, yeah, the red mottling is only sort of around the center of the plant, and then it kind of escapes a little bit up the scape on the bracts, until it disappears, giving way to this beautiful sulfur yellow inflorescence, which, mind you, is distichous. Now, distichous, basically, just botanically, morphologically speaking, you can see this entire part of the spike here is in one plane, so it sits like that, right? It's not hauled or alternate or anything. It's literally all in the same plane, and so that is known as distichous. Some plants grow in that fashion, kind of like the heliconia in the back there. See, it's all in one plane. And yeah, sulfur yellow flowers, they are 3-petaled. Okay, the plant is self-fertile, and like with a lot of the freesias and also alcanterias, this one doesn't have too much of it left, but you can see that little, kind of like I call it a snot string. You see that by my middle finger there? Right, oh, let me just try and zoom in on that for you. You see that there? Yeah, so that is basically mucilage that the plant produces. Now, they say that it produces the mucilage for 2 reasons. I don't know how true this is. To me, the latter makes more sense. Well, I haven't given you the reasons yet. The one is basically to keep insects off, and the second is to help the inflorescence to emerge from the center, because it's a composite inflorescence. There's so many parts to it, and so as it emerges, it kind of slides out like lubricant. To me, that makes more sense. I don't know, maybe insects, yeah, I don't know. Well, I haven't been to Brazil, haven't studied the forest ecology or anything like that, so I wouldn't be able to say it, but that's what the literature says. The plant would do best in a bark medium. You can do a stony medium, of course. That just makes your pot heavier and all of those kinds of things. So I prefer a bark-based medium, containing 60% bark, then some perlite, some vermiculite, some cocoa chip, some coffee grounds, and a controlled released fertilizer. And maybe some coconut husk as well. Just, like regular cocoa peat. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And during the growing season, the plant's going to prefer a lot more water. I did mention it's from the Tijuca forest, so this is a mesic area, which means that the plant comes into contact with quite a bit of water on a regular basis and then has an opportunity to actually dry out quite sufficiently. So the root system needs to be able to dry out. So whatever you do, give it lots of water, but make sure that its roots don't stay wet or the plant will rot. And in the cooler months of the year, if it gets really cold, try and limit the amount of water on the inside of the urn, right? But furthermore, the plant should do perfectly fine. During the warmer months, of course, you can inundate it with water. Give it water regularly, put it in a really well-lit, bright position. And yeah. And then you'll be good to go. Did I mention that the flowers are self-fertile? Because obviously I germinated this one, so you can pollinate these flowers and then you can germinate the seed after about 6 months of waiting for the seed to develop. I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, I can't remember. They are monocarpic, so the plant will die after it flowers. They do interestingly produce pups as well as grass pups. So very similar to an Alcantaria or Tillandsia, it does produce grass pups. I think this one's actually got some grass pups. Let me just see if I can get my thumb in underneath the pot so I can show them to you. Oh, jeez. It's quite heavy. Yeah, there's some, let me see, there's some pups in here. Let me if you can see that. There's a grass pup in there. Do you see that? Yeah. Anyways. So they do produce grass pups. But they're not, it's not like an Alcantaria that would produce copious amounts. I do find quite a bit of grass pups and then it's over. And yeah, what I love about this plant personally is I love the blue-gray color, which is very unusual, and also the trichomatous cover that the plant has got. It's got like a trichomes like a Tillandsia. Feels kind of like a leather wallet or something. And yeah, it can handle really strong light up until about 12 o'clock. So from sunrise to about almost midday, and then put the plant into some dappled light. So you can play around with that sort of light, those sorts of light conditions for the plant. Okay. Side note. Care conditions. You want to keep the plant wetter during summer and dry during winter. As far as feeding goes, you want to feed it with a foliar feed during summer. Always go half strength, the recommended dose. So whatever it is that you're using, do half strength. You can go as frequently as once a week if you like during the growing season. Outside of the growing season, refrain from giving it fertilizer because you'd just be wasting your money, and you might do the plant some damage. Also remember, in terms of pests, the plant, if it's in an area with really poor air quality, it will become susceptible to things like mealybug and scale. It is a freesia, so the leaves are softer in spite of the fact that it's sort of Tillandsia tough, but it can succumb to those things. I've never had one die, but it just looks ugly and it damages the leaves and all of that sort of thing. And that means your other plants standing next to this one will also get sick. So make sure the plant is out in the open where it actually gets lots of light. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is it blooms around this time of the year. So this video was recorded in May in the southern hemisphere, May, so that makes it the last month of autumn, so basically heading into winter. This is when it blooms, and so it is from the southern hemisphere, so this is the appropriate time for the plant to actually flower naturally. I'd be interested to know if it switches out its flowering in the northern hemisphere. Please hit me up in the comments. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as cultivation is really good plant to use in a terrarium. They're really good in terrariums when they're young, but they're not too big, but they do get a whole lot bigger. And so as far as the terrarium goes, this is going to outgrow your terrarium for sure. But as a young plant, it's really stunning in terrariums. It's a plant not often seen. And in all honesty, I think it really should be seen more often. And I just thought for that reason, hey, it is blooming. Let me make this my episode to kind of, I don't know, start making episodes again since I've been quiet for so long. Yeah, it just is what it is. You know, life sometimes gets the better of us. As long as we don't allow it to overpower, then that's all that matters, right? Alrighty, guys. Well, I gotta go, and I will definitely be making some more of these. And I'll try and keep it bromeliad friendly, because there are quite a few bromeliads that are currently in bloom. So I'm gonna do, I think there's Acme azurea. If there are any bromeliads you want to see, please hit me up in the comments section. And if I've got that plant in my collection, if you want to send me the seed to germinate it, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna say it's so nice to do this again, and yeah, yes, man, if you're from South Africa, you'll understand what that means, but yeah, cool. Take it easy. Lots of love to you guys out there. Keep gardening, keep your fingers green, and I will catch you in the next episode. And goodbye from this lovely lady.